You're listening to the Second Time Watches podcast with your host, OJ the OG.
Welcome. I'm OJ the OG. And with me, I'd like to welcome our very good friend, Mr. Damon Slachter. He is a longtime friend and a longtime watch customer, not just of Second Time, but going back to the olden days, WatchUwant. So I want to give a very warm welcome to my very good friend, Mr. Damon Slachter. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks for having me on.
You know, I just want to say, when I had the concept of putting together a podcast to talk about and celebrate the passion of watches, you were at the top of my list. Because I don't think there's anyone that really symbolizes like the celebration of watches than you.
That's true. I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while with you, and I've definitely done a lot of business with you, for sure. And my watch journey is an interesting one.
Fantastic. I can't wait to discuss that with you here today. And really, like I said, the theme of this is all about celebrating watches because, you know, there's nothing but celebration with the watch, right? If you have a watch that has bad juju, you don't keep that watch.
No.
So the watches you wear, the watches you keep, they're all imbibed with like positive vibes. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Well, and you definitely know that more than anybody else with me because, you know, I'm a serial flipper. So Lord knows how many watches I bought.
I just like to call it impatient, impulsive.
Impulsive is the word. Impulsive would definitely be the word. I see something I like and I go after it, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you get a phone call from me or a text from me like, hey, by the way, anybody interested in that watch? But no, it's definitely been fun.
To me, the celebration is this ain't breaking the bank for you, right? I mean, everything you're doing with joy, you're doing with pleasure. You know, whether you're enjoying that watch for a day, a week, or a month, it's doing what it needs to do.
It does.
And then you're glad to let it go on its way.
Absolutely, yeah. And watches for me, it started when I was a kid, and I've always enjoyed the mechanical timepieces. I was never into quartz stuff as much. Some of the G-Shocks.
So let's start there, Damon. Tell me about your journey in luxury watches.
Well, luxury watches didn't start till I was older, but when I was younger, I used to read the scuba diving magazines, and page 1 and 2 usually either had a tag here, Professional 2000, or a Rolex Sea Dweller or Submariner, of course. So being 8, 9 years old, getting National Geographics too with some of those in there. Oh, yeah. With the Explorer. You know, I used to see these things. And
what about like the Cousteau Ploprof? Because that was that era. I mean, you're talking
that
about...
was,
well, how old are you, Damon?
I am 42.
You're 42. I'm 55, so I guess I'm a little heavy.
You look great for 55.
Thank you very much.
But, you know, I used to see these watches in the magazines, and, you know, I would always ask my parents to go show them to me, and they're like, we're not going to look at a Rolex. Like, what are you talking? You're like 8 years old, 7 years old. You can't have a Rolex. So they did get me my first Swatch watch when I was about, I want to say 7 years old.
So what year would that be? I like putting calendar dates on it.
Maybe 90.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Swiss watch quartz crisis came out in mid-'80s, right? 80s, mid-'80s, and, you know, Swatch was the birth of that.
Of course,
right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that makes sense. 1990 was your first Swatch. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I got a Swatch. It was one of the little plastic ones. I don't have it here with me. It's somewhere in storage, but it was a little plastic, maybe 26 millimeter, and it was tiny. And it had a little cover guard to make sure it didn't break off. And I believe it still works to this day, surprisingly.
Okay.
So go
remember
figure.
How much it cost?
I didn't pay for it, but it couldn't have been more than $30, I'm guessing. I mean, at that time, about 90, probably $30 sounds about right.
So initially, you remember, when Swatches first came out, they were like Daytonas. They fetched significant premiums over retail.
I actually didn't know that.
Because they were coming in from Switzerland, and you couldn't get them. They were sold out. There were people waiting in line to buy Swatches. There was a second. I know at least a dozen watch dealers that got their start in the luxury watch space
selling Swatches.
selling Swatches.
Go figure.
Going to Switzerland because you couldn't get them here.
Go figure.
Right? Imagine the logistics getting watches from Switzerland in that kind of quantity, right? Crazy, right?
I actually didn't know that. So I mean, you know, I was young. You're a little older than me, so but I had no clue about, you know, Swatch being that hard to get. I just know that I went into a store with my parents. It may have been a Macy's or something like that.
Yeah, like a department store. That's where they were sold. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just, you know, we picked it up. So that's what kind of started my journey. The one I do have, I brought with me actually, is my first real Swatch watch, which is actually automatic.
Is that an irony? Or what is that?
I don't even know what it is. This is probably from 96. I'm going to say, but it's got a leather band that's still intact. It's plastic and it's automatic and it still works. It's never been serviced. And surprisingly, it still worked. That was my high school watch. And I was enamored with it. It's automatic.
Oh, it's a see-through case back.
See-through case back. But I mean, it was a great watch. And again, it's 30 years old and it still runs. So
yeah.
This kind of started it for me with the automatic stuff, because now I started to understand. And when you see the case back and you see the movement, being a kid, I think it even has I wrote something on the back of the strap at some point when I was younger. So.
No kidding.
So it's a cool thing. I'll pass it down to my
Like Damon
son.
rules or something?
Probably. Don't touch, it's my
Damon
watch.
was here. That's so funny. So Swatch was where it began. And then can you kind of, take us through that journey up to today? Like what was the evolution? What did that look like?
So, being in high school, I still had no money. Didn't really work during high school. Once I got out, I actually started working at a scrap metal facility. Ended up running it at one point, but I decided I needed to buy a watch for myself that marked the occasion. Well, having no money to mark an occasion meant that you buy an Invicta. So, and there's nothing wrong with Invicta. I'm not gonna bash on them too much, but I always.
So, what year do you think you purchased that?
This would have been 2003 or 4.
So how old are you?
I'm 42 again.
I mean, I'm saying in 2000.
Yeah. So 2003, I have 22 maybe,
22.
Something like that. Something like 22 years old. I had always had a fascination with the Rolex, the Yachtmaster, the Rolesium Yachtmaster with the platinum dial and stuff.
Yeah.
I always wanted one. That was my goal watch.
Reference 16622 back then.
So I'd always, your references.
It's a horrible curse.
Well, the Panerai curse. So,
oh, man. We could talk about that next.
So I ended up going with my mother. Surprisingly, I was walking around the mall with her. I don't remember why, but I walked up to an Invicta kiosk in the middle of the Pines Mall.
An Invicta kiosk in the Pines Mall.
20 years ago, and they had this Rolesium-looking Invicta, and it's automatic. See-through case back.
Yeah, it's
still
literally
works.
the Yachtmaster version of the Invicta.
It is literally.
Right, with the engraved bezel as opposed to an insert.
Red hand.
Red seconds hand, right? And like a silver, almost platinum dial.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is a 16622 by any other name.
with the wrong markings on it. But I mean, it was a pretty good watch. And again, I was working at a scrap metal yard. I was lifting things, dropping things, breaking things, carrying things. It survived, and it still works.
Yeah,
and,
listen.
But
and it's also not comically oversized.
No. Well, this is back when Invicta was trying to basically be a Rolex copy.
Right, they were going to be the affordable Rolex.
And then once they realized that it wasn't going to work anymore, they decided to make things that look like you have a truck hubcap.
Right, and how they were never sued by Rolex is one of the biggest mysteries, because you could look at they had a watch and it was called the Speedway instead of the Daytona, right? Like.
Well, and I mean, look. The most common that I remember from back then was the two-tone blue dial.
Yeah, that looked like a Submariner.
Exactly.
I don't even know what they called it, like a skid. I don't even remember what they called it.
Well, the funniest thing is whenever I go to Publix now, I'll see somebody with a two-tone on, and I'll go, "Oh, they got a Rolex." Wait, no, that's an Invicta. Once you see the wings up there, I'm like, "Okay, never mind." And it's hard to tell from far away. Surprisingly, that's funny. You really can't.
No
tell.
judgments here. No judgments.
Invicta's great.
Right? Invicta is a great brand for those people that like Invicta.
So
right? Yeah. But I see the evolution, you go from a plastic swatch to a metal, durable divers type watch, right? Sport watch.
Yeah, going towards what I want.
Yeah.
What kind of watch I wanted. And again, I had the goal in my head that I wanted that platinum dial Yachtmaster by the time I was 25.
Right. And so the thing about the Yachtmaster that's really interesting, this was like the most expensive sport watch in the Rolex
It was
catalog.
crazy, yeah.
It was 40% higher in cost than a Submariner or a GMT because it had a platinum bezel and a platinum dial.
Of course. Yeah,
so
they had all that.
were you a scuba diver at this point? Did you grow up scuba diving? Or
South Florida, born and raised down here. So I'm always around water, always been on the lake, and I used to dive in my lake. I'm not going to say scuba dived in my lake, but I would go down diving in my lake and find some weird treasures, because if you lived in Miami lakes around that time, all those lakes were man-made and they were dug out.
Cars at the bottom of those lakes.
Cars, motorcycles, boxes with things in there. And funnily enough, the house that I grew up in as a kid, the previous owner happened to be a drug dealer. So there was all kinds of stuff behind our house.
No,
Just
because
drop off
you were like a treasure hunter.
Basically a
and this
treasure
was
hunter.
your tool.
It was basically, I was a treasure hunter, yeah.
I totally relate to that because I spent my summers in the water in Lake Geneva, and I always had a dive watch. It might have been a G-Shock, then it became a Hoyer F1, but like it had a rotating bezel.
Course.
And to this day, I'm pretty much fixated on watches with rotating bezels.
Absolutely. It's funny. I used to use those to time my stakes and stuff too. So.
I use them to time my parking meters.
Well, that's actually a better use because I've got a lot of tickets lately. So I should probably start doing that again.
All right, so we go from the Swatch to the Invicta. You're 22 years old, working in the scrapyard business, finally making some money. What's next?
So there was a period of time there where I had that Invicta, but I was buying and selling watches around $1,000 to $2,000. To be fair, I didn't have a lot of access to cash, so I would buy what I could. I would kind of like struggle to get it, and then I would wear it, and then I'd be like, I probably shouldn't have bought that. So then I would sell it and buy something else.
How were you selling your stuff?
eBay at the time. So I've been on eBay since like I think 2000, like when I was a kid. So early
beginning
eBay
stages, man. I
love.
Garage sale. Let me tell you something. Back in the early 2000s, if you cut me, man, I would have bled eBay. I mean, that was before they kicked me off, of course. But
I got kicked off too. The same account. I don't know what they did.
But I thought eBay was the greatest thing on the planet.
It was, and it made it very easy back then to to
reach a global audience.
Exactly.
Right?
And for what I was selling, it was easy because it wasn't like I was selling super high-end watches, so I wasn't too worried about stuff, and people weren't scammy with it.
And you were also a camera guy, right?
I've been into cameras for a long time too, yes.
I mean, do you think you spent more money on cameras or watches?
Is my wife listening to this? Watches for sure, but yeah, cameras add up.
It's a close second.
It's a close second.
All
yeah,
the
for
lenses,
sure.
all the bodies.
Yeah.
Listen, you're a Leica guy.
I'm a Leica guy. So
hoo-ah,
yeah, lenses are $6,000 or more, so it adds up real quick.
Yeah, for sure,
It does.
So we're in the scrapyard.
Back in the scrapyard.
You're wearing the Invicta. What's next?
So again, I bought and sold a bunch of random watches back then. Honestly, my scrapyard watch, I didn't bring it with me because there's just too many watches to bring. But the one I wore the most during the time was actually a Casio, the Pathfinder. It's one of the big Pathfinders with the barometric pressure and altimeter and stuff. And
it's like a 45 millimeter watch, probably, right?
It allowed me to wear Panerais, but put it that way. It's not the same size as the Panerais. Sure. So, and I wore that mostly because, I was constantly hitting stuff. Yeah. And, the Invicta was starting to I could feel the pain.
This was your nice watch, man.
It was my nice watch.
I mean, relatively speaking.
I could feel the pain from it. But I mean, during that time, I had a bunch of different watches. What really set me off is towards the end of my scrapyard career, I got back into tech. I'd always been a tech guy.
Yeah, you were a gamer growing up, right?
Well, I was a gamer growing up, and I've just always been in tech. I've always liked the tech stuff. I always liked to tinker with computers, networking. I'm Cisco
you
certified.
Like to take the shit apart and put it back together, put it in cards.
Speaking
all
of
that
things in my
stuff,
back lake,
right?
there are more than one computers back there that I've thrown that I got pissed off at that were chucked into the lake from my dock. So if you ever want to go back there to find them, I'm sure.
Didn't you create your own websites too?
So so that's what I was gonna get to. So towards the end of my scrapyard career, I think this was 2012, I decided I was done dealing with scrap metal, and I decided to build a software solution to run scrapyards. So inside of my scrapyard, I put a container, put a little mini data center in there, and built this whole solution. Ended up selling that to another scrapyard that wanted the whole solution and they wanted to monetize it. I don't know if it's still running anymore, but it was an interesting project. But I met another person there that got me back into tech who was selling telecom gear. So I met this guy and I started dealing with him back and forth. And then I built his website and started getting commission from the stuff that I was selling on the website that I built for him and started making some real money. And he actually had I remember this, it was a great deal at the time. It was a no date sub, 40 millimeter of course back then. And he sold it to me for $4,000. And I was like, wow, this is nice. So that was my first.
So what year was that, you think?
2012. 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there. It was
ceramic or pre-ceramic?
No, pre-ceramic. Pre-ceramic, yeah. It was the older one. It was tiny, the little tiny 40
So it was probably like a 14060.
Probably. I don't remember it was not tritium, but
Right.
but anyhow, it was a nice watch. I loved it.
Right.
And he didn't wear it, so he's like, "Yeah, you want to buy this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he kind of financed me a little bit on it, and yeah, that was my first Rolex, my first real Rolex.
My first real Rolex was a Submariner too. I did have a fake Day-Date when I was like 15 years old.
I've had the fakes, and we don't talk about that. Yeah, those
No,
all
we
got
don't.
crushed in the balers of the scrapyard once they stopped working.
So you get your first Submariner in what year again? What was that?
About 2012, I would say.
So 2012. And how old are you?
How old am I then? That's a great question. That would have been, I don't do math on the fly. So probably, I don't know.
What year were you born? These guys will die. We'll have our crew do the math for you.
83.
So it's 2012, born in 83. That'd be 17. Okay, gotcha.
Probably 28, something like that.
All right, so you're sub 30. All right, you
If
buy
there are
your
math
first
people on
Rolex
here,
Submariner. That's appreciable.
So I was really happy with it, loved it, wore it a bunch. Prices started going up. I ended up selling it for a profit. I think I made like $500 on it. I mean, at the time they were around $4,000 to $5,000. But I sold it to a dealer. I think I went to the jewelry exchange and I was just walking around and somebody was like, "Hey, I like that watch." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, you want to sell it?" I'm like,
Do you
"Sure."
remember? Did it have like the original box of
Nope,
papers?
it did not. It was a watch only.
It's watch only.
Watch
Naked,
only.
as we say.
Naked as could be. I trusted, the guy, and it was real. It was a real watch.
Right.
And so I sold that, and I think I ended up with some random JLC after that. I love JLC. I love their watches. They don't hold their value, unfortunately, but
and they're small.
And they're
most of them are small.
Yeah, this was one of the diver ones. It was one
like
of the
Extreme World Chronograph or something.
No, it was one of the compressor master compressors.
Oh, master compressor.
Yeah, the diver.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got one of those, and I was extremely happy with it.
Yeah.
And then I went to sell it, and I was not very happy with it. That's why the guy gave me $4,500 for the Rolex, because he knew he was gonna get me on the JLC. So I don't know where that watch ended up, but again, serial flipper.
Yeah.
It kind of snowballed from there.
Uh-huh.
But I will say the last watch from my scrapyard era was actually a yellow gold Day-Date. So black dial Day-Date 36, of course, at the time.
It was probably
with
like
diamonds.
$8,500 or something back then. Right?
So I bought it from him for $8,000.
There you
So
go.
it was tainted.
Nailed it.
It was tainted because his ex-business partner gave it to him. And
You gotta love those watches. Those are the
he's
best.
like, "I want you to take this," and I'm like, "I will." And I ended up selling that watch for $16,000
Ooh,
because that was when everything kind of blew up, with
Yeah.
the Day-Dates and the gold, because that was a P series. So it was a 2001, I believe, and that's the one that was the heavier with the solid. Everything was solid gold.
Wow.
So I did very well on that watch. Sold it to a guy in the Pines Mall. Actually, it was a
In the
jewelry store.
Pines Mall?
Jewelry store. He paid me $16,000 for a.
No
Day-Date.
kidding. God
Yeah.
bless. So when do you think was the first time you were introduced to WatchUwant and that we met the first time? You remember?
So yeah, actually, I do remember. I don't remember meeting you first. So I was sitting at a Chili's. Oddly enough, I was sitting at a Chili's.
The Chili's here down the street?
The Chili's down the
I
street.
love that Chili's.
The Chili's down the street.
They got
on
the
Sheridan
best
Street.
baby back ribs.
They
Give me
do.
my
Well-
baby backs.
So yeah, and I gained about 15 pounds at that Chili's. When I left the scrapyard and started off on my own again, I was sitting there eating quesadillas every day, and I gained about 15 pounds at the bar there. So anyhow, so my father had a Datejust 36 two-tone blue dial, rose gold two-tone Jubilee bracelet, and he wanted to sell. He wanted me to sell it for him because he was just sick of it. He was not really a watch. I got my father into watches. He was never a watch guy at all. He finally got into it when I was into it. So I was online looking for someplace local to sell watches, and WatchUwant popped up. I went to the website.
SEO at work right there, baby.
It worked very well. So I went on there, and honestly, the live chat popped up, and I got Josh.
And you got Josh.
I got Josh on the line.
Thanos. Yeah,
Josh
he's one of our
Thanos.
top sales guys, and he's at WatchUwant. Well, at Watchbox today as we speak.
So
Big shout out to Josh Thanos. So you meet Josh.
Met Josh. Told him what I had.
Were you at this point living in the townhouses of Emerald Hills?
So no, I was living in L'Etoile, which is
L'Etoile.
I lived in L'Etoile.
I almost bought an apartment in L'Etoile. And so what's really funny about this is Damon and I lived in the exact same townhouse complex.
Just 15 years apart.
Just a couple of years apart. Like I lived in that townhouse from 99 to 2003, and you moved in?
I moved in 2017.
2017. I've been there ever since. But yeah, nothing but fond memories of the townhouses of Emerald Hills.
Great
right?
view. Great view of the golf course. Love it.
Alrighty.
So I met Josh. Told him what I had.
Yeah. So for the viewers out there, basically the WatchUwant offices were approximately 1 mile, 2 miles from where. No, not even.
Not
Like, you
even.
could have walked there from the
Yeah,
12,
I could
for
definitely
sure.
walk. It's right in
Yeah.
front of the church.
I mean,
yeah.
it was that close.
Very, very close. So I kind of miss it being there. But
And
anyhow.
it's funny because we didn't have a retail location per se. We had a private showroom and sales office. And if you were to look up our address online, you would be directed to the UPS store. You had to call us, make contact. We'd pre-screen you, pre-qualify you, so to speak, to make sure we wanted you showing up at our office. Right?
Exactly.
Like, if you're calling looking to see if your watch was authentic or something like that, then we'd have you send us pictures or whatever. But we did not give out that address to the general public.
No.
Unless you were, like I said, a watch enthusiast, really is what it came down to.
It was a nice office, too. I will admit, you go in, you had like a little waiting room there and then a little conference room. And it was a nice experience to go in there and show you watches and stuff. But it was really fun. But I met Josh, showed him what I had. He gave me some lowball offer because at the time I was expecting something higher, but it is what it is. But we didn't do a deal then. But I remember maybe 6 months later, I had some cash come in and I was looking for something else. And I called up Josh. And that's when he said, hey, come down to the office. That's when I met the whole crew over at WatchUwant. And then
Shannon Beck, Josh, David Salamanca, all those guys. Jason Main from Torno.
Jason Main, yeah, he was cool.
Who's currently at Watchbox now still, too. I mean, all those guys.
Yeah, everybody there was
Pretty
great.
amazing.
Yeah, and they made you feel like you were at home there. And I don't know how many watches I bought from you at WatchU. I mean, I really don't.
There were a few. And then you and I reconnected after I sold the business. They shut down the office, everything else. You and I reconnected in my everyday carry phase when you hit me up for like a tie bolt.
Actually,
pen.
I remember exactly when we reconnected. I was at Crown Liquors, and I walked in, and you walked in, and I'm like, OJ, right? He's like, yeah. And you were like, and you kind of knew who I was. You recognized my face, but you're like, hey, yeah, I'm selling EDC stuff now, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I like knives. I like flashlights and stuff.
Oh, man. You and I bonded heavy duty on EDC, man. We love the gadgets, the pens, the fidget spinners, the knocks.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, the knocks. Yeah, we had so many of those things. But, yeah, that's how we reconnected. And then, obviously, a couple of years later, you opened up Secondtime. And then, since then, it's been hit the ground running. So
yeah, man. All right, so tell us. So you going back to this evolution, right? You were in the IT business. You had that Rolex, those Rolexes. Like, how did you get into Panerai? What brought you into Panerai?
So Panerai, I don't have one here to show, but Panerai, honestly, I would say it was you because. Let's be honest, you had a tag that said Panerai on your car.
Yeah, my license plate was Panerai since 2001, absolutely.
And you had every imaginable Panerai available to see pretty much that you ever wanted to see. And you had weird ones, rare ones, special ones that you wouldn't see at the boutique even. Yeah. And it just kind of sparked my interest in them. And,
So do you remember like the WatchUwant experience?
Yes.
Like, yeah, of course there's a waiting room, but most people just go right into my office, right? Or they go into, or they're in the conference room.
Right.
And then what happens?
So, well, you'd sit down and then, a little water, make you feel nice at home. And then, of course, it's like, well, what do you want to see? And it's like, basically they bring out a tablet or a computer and show you the catalog of what's available.
Yeah, I know. But we remember, we had the Tupperware tubs. We had Tupperware tubs of watches, and it was like A through K brands. This is the box for APs. This is the box for Panerai. And we would just bring out, these Tupperware boxes, lay them on the table. All right, let's have a watch party.
Yeah. What do you want to look at today? What's your
What
budget
do you want to
today?
look at? Or better yet, well, here's our Panerais. Let's start there.
Yeah. It was a nice experience.
Yeah,
but
it was a pretty special experience because it wasn't like there were tags on the watches.
No, you could try them on.
And, again, we were mostly pre-owned anyway. So it was like you could put the watch on, you could walk outside, check it out in the light. It was pretty unique customer experience, I would say.
So I will say I did buy a Panerai from WatchUwant. And it was, you'll remember it probably very well because you probably sold it multiple times. It was the Equation of Time, like the 47 or 48.
I love the Equation of Time.
But it was the
With the blue dial or the black dial?
The black dial.
I remember that Equation of
Time. The big one. So
yeah.
I bought that. I have a picture of it actually on my Instagram somewhere. I was sitting down listening to my music and I had a picture of it when I just got it. That watch was too big. I will admit that watch was too big.
I think it was it 47 or 48?
I think it was 48.
It might have been
48. It was a big Panerai. And Panerais are big anyhow, 47s, but I can wear 47 divers, no problem at all. That watch, the lugs were a little wide. Beautiful watch. Yeah. Really complicated for a Panerai, but it
do you know, do you know who the only person I know who can help me understand and explain how the Equation of Time works?
No.
You know who that is?
Who?
That's Tim Masso.
Of course.
Shout out to Tim Masso. Like, we used to get him on the phone with our customers to explain stuff to him.
Yeah, and that was a very interesting watch because, it did calculate the daylight savings time difference.
The sidereal time.
It's negative 15, positive 15 minutes
crazy.
per day.
I still really like the watch.
Completely useless complication.
Totally useless.
But it was interesting.
Based on the sunset of the horizon. And
it was definitely a useless complication. And the other giant watch I bought from you that was pretty much a big mistake, but I love the watch, was the JLC Master Extreme Lab.
Oh, yeah.
That was 48 or 49.
The Extreme Lab was a cool watch, but those things would always break.
Yeah, well, mine didn't break, thank God, but it was, and I remember I got on the leather strap from you guys. It was the red one, and I wanted the rubber strap so bad. So I went to the Aventura Mall. They had a dealer there, a JLC boutique, and I had to order the strap. It was like $750 for a rubber strap.
Yeah, because it had the metal thing in there. It was like quick release or something.
The buckle was like $3,000. The buckle had an extension in it that would flip over, and it was like a $3,000 crazy.
I remember that.
There was like 100 parts.
So, I mean, we're talking about that watch. That was at the time probably a $35,000 watch.
No, it was more. No,
even more. So
like
you've evolved, man. You're going from Invicta, you're going from Swatch, Invicta, you're going Rolexes, and now you're big time, like this is horology when you're talking about an Extreme Lab.
Extreme Lab is definitely, that's a lot of
dropping
engineering
40
in there.
G's on watches, that's pretty big time, man.
Yeah, so moved up, left the scrapyard, started with this guy with IT stuff, selling telecom gear, built the website. That company got acquired by a publicly traded company, so there was a bit of a payout there, and I was doing pretty well. I was running the business, bringing in a lot of sales, doing very well for myself. So yeah, my watch collection grew, or I would say I'm a serial flipper, so the price of the watches got higher than I was buying.
The collection didn't grow.
Stayed about the same. I mean, at one point,
the average price point of your watch certainly did increase.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are people that'll have, 6 or 7, $5,000 to $10,000 watches versus one.
Yeah, of course. So, talking about your evolution, if we look at where you are today, why don't we talk about that watch that's on your wrist today, huh?
So, the watch I have on is the 5167. On a bracelet, which is very odd.
Code name 5167/1A when it's born on the bracelet.
Yes, the 1A. So, and the funny story about this watch is I bought this watch on a strap from WatchUwant. I believe I paid $17,000 for it.
Like 2015?
Something like that. No, it had to be probably 16 or 17. Okay. No, 16 for sure, because my daughter was not born yet. Yeah, so I bought the 5167. I remember that watch was great. I loved it on the strap.
And how much was it?
I think it was about $16,000, $16,000 to $17,000.
That makes sense, because we would typically buy those things like around 13,500.
13,000 was the wholesale. So I bought.
The biggest problem with the Aquanaut, single biggest problem with the Aquanaut on the rubber strap.
There's no quick adjust. That's my biggest problem with it. Is once it's cut, it's cut.
Okay, sorry. As a reseller,
I'm sorry.
The biggest problem with the 5167, and it was seriously problematic, was that stupid rubber strap that you cut to fit.
Yep.
Because once you buy that watch and that strap was cut to fit a guy with a 6.5-inch wrist, because watch wasn't that big to begin with.
No.
Big guys didn't wear Aquanauts.
No, it's a 40
So
millimeter.
you get the watch, it fits a 6.5-inch wrist. And you finally get a guy to buy it, and he's got a 7-inch wrist, and you can't find that strap to save your life.
And when you do, it's like, what, $300?
Yeah, $300 to $500 probably.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy. And of course, you can't get it in any colors, just black, etc. But anyways, sorry. So to talk about that watch.
So yeah, so I bought it for that price. I loved it. I had it when my daughter was born, and I took it kayaking.
Do you have pictures of you like holding your daughter with that watch on?
No, there's a story with that too. So when I was in the hospital, my daughter was born, and you guys posted on the website a 5164 travel time at the hospital. So I called Josh, and I'm like, Josh, I need to trade in this for that. So I left my wife and my newborn daughter at the hospital.
Wait, hold on. Just a point of clarification. Hollywood Memorial Regional Hospital is like a mile.
Yeah.
From
really
the WatchUwant offices.
It wasn't like I was driving an hour.
From where? You weren't.
But I had to go home and walk my dog. Again, if my wife is watching this, I'm in so much trouble. But I had to go home and walk the dog. So I went home and walked the dog and grabbed the box and papers and took it, and I swapped it out for the 5164 travel time, and then came back to and my wife had no clue, because at the same, to a person that doesn't know watches, it's the same strap, so you won't know the difference, So she had no idea.
While your wife is in the hospital with newborn.
Well,
She'd already given birth to this.
She was an L&D. It wasn't even born yet.
She was in labor, you dirty bastard.
Well, she had gotten
left your wife in labor to go buy what's wrong with you?
She got an epidural. She was fine.
What's wrong with you?
She was living the dream. So it was only like an hour and a half. It was very quick. She had no idea. So I came back and I had the watch on and I was staring at it and she was like, "Why do you keep looking at your watch?" I'm like, "I just want to see how long we've been in labor for." So it was she never noticed. She never had any clue. I don't think I ever told her. And again, if she watches this podcast, I have so many things to answer
That is
for.
one crazy watch story.
And I had that watch and I ended up swapping that out for a 5712, which mistake of the century to sell that back for like 28 grand.
So yeah, and you got the 5712. The 5712 is probably $30,000.
It was 30 grand. Yeah, I paid. I think I got it for 32. I think it was 32, and I.
So you went from a 5167 to a 5164 to a 5712.
Yeah. So I
That's
finally
pretty
got the
decent
Nautilus.
evolution,
Finally got the
man.
Nautilus. The 5711 was still out of range.
Right.
That was. I think back then it was started to creep up, and it was around 60.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
And it was just too much.
Yeah. And if we look at those watches now, right? 5167 is like 60,000.
Yeah.
Right? 5164 is like 85.
It's crazy.
And 5712 is over 100.
Oh yeah, 100.
So it's a nice trajectory, I would say.
It was. But again,
from very humble beginnings, right?
Back from the Swatch.
From very humble beginnings.
Back from the Swatch.
All right, so let's get back to that watch that's on your wrist, the 5167 1A. Why don't you tell us the story on that watch?
So this one, again, I had the one before. I loved the watch. I flipped it off into the 5164 and a 5712, and I had always missed the 5167. It's just, it's balanced. The dial is. I thought that the 5164 dial was going to look better. I thought that the sunburst and like the grenade pattern, frag pattern, whatever you want to call it, would look nicer on the 5164 because it was a better watch.
And bigger, too.
It was bigger. It's fit 42.
Slightly bigger.
41 and a half, 42, something like that.
They're still damn small watches, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bigger, but I didn't like the pattern. I didn't like the sunburst pattern on it. So I got rid of it, 5712. That was just too scratch magnet for me. So long time. And then the price of the 5167 kept going up, and then went to 30, and then went to 40, and then COVID hit, and then all bets were off on that watch.
Yeah, I mean that's a $70,000 watch.
$70,000 watch.
If it's post like 2018,
right, because they changed the movement on them, I believe, on the newer ones. Not that it really matters too much, but it's just this watch is the epitome of it's, especially on the bracelet, because on a strap. People know what it is on a strap. A lot of people do. It's targeted on a strap.
And on the bracelet, they're almost like thrown.
Nobody knows what it is. Nobody has any clue what it is. I mean, if you look at it close enough,
it truly is way more under the radar, I think, with the bracelet.
I wear this thing everywhere. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't think about it because nobody's going to. I mean, it's shiny, but nobody's going to.
Now let's talk about how you came by that watch and where you got it from.
Well, actually, it's a funny story. So, happened to be browsing my good buddy's website here, and
Secondtime.com, baby.
Secondtime.com, and which I do actually every single day. I look at it in the morning, I look at it in the afternoon, and at night to see what's been posted. And
this is a true addict, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and I've seen the analytics on that site, and a lot of it's me on the background going through, looking what's new there, because stuff is posted every day. But besides the plug, I mean, honestly, I saw it on the website, and it was posted on the bracelet and the strap, and I'm like, I have to have this. So
that was what was, I think, pretty cool about that watch, is it came with both the bracelet
and the strap
with the folding buckle.
Because when I had mine, I wanted the bracelet bat, and to get the bracelet was like an extra $5,000 if you could find one. Yep. Nobody really sold the bracelet by itself, and I mean they will come up randomly, but jewelers would usually buy them like on eBay and stuff, and a lot of them you got to watch out because a lot of them are fake, a lot of counterfeits out there. Yeah. So when he posted his, when it was the right reference on the papers for the bracelet, and then it also had the strap with the buckle and stuff, I'm like, I have to make this work. I got to figure it out.
And when we were able to put together a nice, fat, juicy trade that got you into that watch, and I was able to move your watches, and it was just one of those deals that works itself out, man.
It did. It was perfect. You worked with me on it. And again, I mean, this has been it was my dream watch at one point, because Patek. It's a Patek, you really, I mean, unless you go to Grubel Force, but I mean, it doesn't get much higher than a Patek.
Sure.
And again, I go swimming with this watch. I take it to the Keys. I go in the pool in the Keys. I don't think too much about it. So it's not a Submariner, but It's not a beater, but
You're probably one of the few guys that submerge your Aquanaut in water.
I was in the pool and the Keys a couple of weeks ago, and a guy was like, is that a Patek? And I just took it off and handed it to him, and he's looking at it. He's like, you taking it in the pool? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. What's the worst that happens? I got to send it in for service.
Fills up with water, and it's $12,000. No,
I have a bucket of rice I keep with me in the car. But
listen, all the watches we send out, we make sure.
Yes. No, yes,
all,
and that's
a lot of quality control there. So, talked a lot about different watches. If there were only 3 watch brands that you were buying today, or if you could, categorize your top 3 favorite watch brands today as a function of your current journey, if you will, right? What are your top 3 favorite watch brands?
Top 3 favorite would be, we're saying Rolex is cliche because everybody likes Rolex. But, I mean, Rolex, of course. I mean, they just make good stuff.
How can they not be, right?
I mean, they just work. They're, everyone knows what it is if that's the look you're going for, especially the Submariners or tool watches through and through. I mean,
they're iconic. I mean,
you can literally beat them up, and they just keep working. I don't think I've ever seen a Rolex going for service. So I'm sure you have. But, so honestly, Rolex, Patek, Panerais are definitely on my top 3. But I have to add Seiko. I hate to say it,
Yeah. So who are you taking out? You only get 3. It's like what is it? Marry, kill.
Yeah.
F, marry, kill. Right.
Well, what's it? Hot, sane, and intelligent. No, but you choose 2.
I think you need to have Seiko in there because
I
I know
would
you
say-
and your.
I would say take out Patek because Patek is just one of those things, for watches, for collectors, especially that are aspiring. Panerai for sure because they go crazy expensive, or you can get them at a very reasonable price, and they're great wearing watches. They're pretty reliable too. Honestly, a lot of them have ETA movements, and even some of them have Rolex movements in them. So Panerai is great, but Seiko, I mean, you can get Seikos from $200 to $200,000 if you want to go to the Credo or Grand Seiko stuff.
And you love your Seikos. I know that because I've sold a bunch of your Seikos.
You've sold them to me. I buy them. I mean, it's one of the few brands that I will buy retail just because sometimes it's hard to get them secondhand.
Okay, so we got Panerai, we got Grand Seiko, and the third?
The third would be, I thought I took one out.
Now you got to put one back in. So
put one back.
Panerai, Grand Seiko.
Yeah, you're killing me here. Let's put Rolex back in.
Okay.
Got to put back
Rolex, Panerai, and Seiko. I can work with that.
Yeah.
I can work with that. They're
good
certainly
trade-off.
opposite ends of the spectrum,
For
but I
sure.
love it, And, well, that's fantastic. Speaking about your journey, what do you think is your what's your watch grail? Like,
It's a very easy answer. Groenfeld.
Groenfeld.
Is, I am Facebook friends with the brothers, Tim and Bart.
I met them in 2013 in Switzerland at Basel.
I love what they do. I love their watches. Super small production.
Yeah.
Finished better than anything else I've seen. Reliability, I have no clue. I maybe one day I'll find out. But I love their watches. Their Delta Works, the waterproof one, of course. It's got to be a waterproof watch.
Sure.
But I just love their stuff. I mean, everything is so cool. They're 8-second remontoire that every 8 seconds spins. It's just such a cool watch. And again, they seem to be great people. I see what they post.
Ultra low production. I mean,
very low
less
production.
than like 50 watches a year.
It's crazy low, and they're very personal with their customers, which is nice.
Yeah,
And at that level, I think their watches start at like 50, something like that for the 1941 series, about 50 grand. Pretty hard to get.
I feel like they're smaller. They're like 38 to 40 millimeter.
They're 39.
I have a hard time.
The 1941 is 39, but they're thicker and they wear bigger. I actually had the Groen, which was their little their offshoot brand. That is not in-house movement. It's a Salita movement, but they did it as like a little project for themselves, and it uses the same case specifications as the 1941, and it actually wears bigger than you think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice watch. But the Delta Works is 40, I think it might be 43 or 44. It's pretty big. Yeah.
Is it that big?
Yeah, it's bigger.
Okay. Well, Damon, I am so appreciative that you could join us today. I love talking watches with you, sharing our stories. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to go find that Groenfeld for you.
Thank you.
You know it, baby. It's in your near future, I
appreciate
promise
it,
you.
man. Thank you so much for having me.